Now let's work on automating a test scenario. A valid user is trying to sign in. Okay, let's see how we can do that. There's a sign in link here. So the first step is after taking this application web page, you have to click the sign in link. Then you can see a username and password field. So for the username, I'm going to give a valid username and password. And then let's click the sign in button. And if the login is successful, then you can see a welcome message. Okay, welcome, and then the user's first name and last name. Okay, so I already created a user for this, and it's displaying the user's first name and a last name here. So you need a user account for this test. So let's see how we can create a user account. I'm going to log out from here. So on the right top corner, there is a link to create a new account in this application. Create an account. Let's click this. Let's fill all these details, and then provided all these details. So you have to fill all these details and create an account, and then new user account it will be created, and you can use it for further tests. Now let's see how we can implement the automated test. First of all, we need to launch the browser, and then we need to navigate to the web page. We have already done these two steps, so we know how to do that. The next thing is to click the sign in link. Sign in is a link that's an element, and you have to interact with this element. So there are many elements on this web page. So how do you interact with this particular element? You need to uniquely identify this element and perform an action on this. So for identifying this element uniquely, we need to have an idea about the code behind this web page. All these web pages are created in HTML. So let's take a look at the HTML code behind this particular web page. So Chrome will give you the HTML code. For that, we have to right click somewhere on the page, and then let us click inspect from the menu. Now you can see the HTML code behind this page. Okay, so here you can see the details. All right. So the HTML language, that's a combination of different tags. Okay, so you can see an HTML tag here with HTML, and the tag is written within opening and closing angle brackets. Okay, and for each tag there is a closing tag as well. So this one is an opening tag HTML, and corresponding to this at the end you can see a closing tag as well. See, a closing tag starts with slash. So here it's slash HTML. So that's the closing tag, and at the top you have an opening tag HTML. And a particular tag can have some attributes as well. So attributes are some key value pairs which are placed inside the tag itself. So here lang is an attribute and its value is en. And within this HTML tag, there are so many tags. Okay. So there's a head tag, there's an opening head tag, and there's a closing head tag with slash. And you can see a body tag, and for body tag there are many attributes. Okay, data container is an attribute and body is the value, class is an attribute and there is a value, customer, account create, blah blah blah. So within this body tag there is another tag, no script. So likewise, there are so many tags. Okay, so for each element on this website there are some HTML tags corresponding to that. So we need to find the HTML tag corresponding to the sign-in link. So let us see how to find it out. Let's right click on a particular element. So now I'm going to right click on the element sign-in link, and then I'm going to click inspect. Then you can see that one particular area is highlighted. So this tag corresponds to sign-in. So you can see that it's a tag, that is an anchor and a link. Okay, so you can see an opening a tag with some attributes. href is an attribute for this, and there's some value as well. Okay, so that's the URL to be navigated to, right? And then there is a closing tag here. So in between the opening and closing tag, you can see some text signing, which is displayed here, right? So for interacting with this web element, this link sign in, you can identify this link with this text sign in. Okay. So sometimes you may have to identify the element with some attributes. Okay, so let's see how we can identify the element sign in with a particular locator and how we can perform a click over there. So let's get back to IntelliJ IDEA. Now let's work on the new test case. For that, let us check out the main branch first. Let's go to main and check out. All right, now we have to pull the changes, the latest changes from the main. So let me go to Git and update the project. Okay, before you work on any new task, new code piece, always ensure that you get the latest and greatest version. And then from main, then let's create a new branch. Now let's give a name to the branch. We are going to work on login test case, right? So let's say login test, and let's check out into this. So now we have checked out into login test, and then let's go to our class login test, which was created as part of our previous feature branch. And let me zoom it a bit. So here we did set up the driver manager, web driver manager, and we launched the browser, and we navigated to our base URL. Okay. Well, so now the next thing is to perform a click on the login page. To interact with an element, we have to use web element class in Selenium. So let's create an object of web element class corresponding to sign in link. So, okay, I'm creating an object corresponding to sign in link. So in order to create the object, we have to use a method driver.findElement. Driver.findElement, and you have to specify a locator in order to identify the element. So we're going to use the locator by link text. And here you have to specify the text of the link. So let's go back to Chrome, to the website, and let's find out the text. So from here we have identified, we have inspected the HTML tag, and we saw that this is the text. Okay, that's sign in. Okay, so let's copy this text sign in from here, and let's come back here and let's put it here, sign in. Okay, so what it does is like using this locator link text. Okay, with this particular text, WebDriver is going to find the element, and it's going to create an object of the class web element, and it will be available. Okay, now using this web element, let's perform different actions. So let's perform a click over there. Link sign in dot click. So this is gonna click on the web element. So now let's execute this test and see the result. Maybe let's comment out driver.create so that we can see it well. Okay, now you can see that a click has been performed in sign in link, and it's showing the username and password fields here. Now let's talk about the locators in detail. When we find an element, we have to specify a locator. So here in this code, we specify link text locator for finding the element. And this find element method returns an object of web element interface. Next thing is like, let's go to the sign in page. Okay, after clicking the sign in link, we have to enter the email and password. Okay, so let's see how we can interact with the email. Let's right click on this edit box, click inspect, and let's check the HTML tag. It's input, and you can see an attribute name over here. Okay, so we can use the name. So let's double click on the value of the name, and let's copy that. Okay, so using the name, we'll be able to identify email. Okay, so let's go to the code, and let's find the web element first. Okay, so driver dot find element by dot name, and let's specify the name. Let's paste the name over here. Let's put it in double quotes and paste it here. Okay, so we will identify the element. So this method will return the web element object, right? So using that object, we can invoke the next method. Okay, so I would say dot. Now, what we have to do with that? So this will return the web element object, and you can specify different things with this. Dot click, dot send keys, and so many are supported here. So I'm gonna select send keys. So using send keys, you can send a series of keys into that element. So I'm gonna send my email ID here. All right. So we made the coding style different here, right? So in the first case, when we identified the link sign in, we found the element by find element method, and we returned it to an object. An object variable is created here, and using that object variable, we invoked click method, right? So here we are doing it in the same line. Okay, we find the element here, and then using that element continuously, we use dot send keys. So what happens is, like, this much will be replaced by its return value, which is a web element object, and then using that object dot send keys method. That's how it works. Okay, and for better readability, let's move this one into the next line. So we typed the username here, that's the email, and then next thing is password. Now we have to enter the password here, right? So let's inspect it. Let's find the HTML tag, and we have the name attribute here as well. So let's copy this, and using this name, we can identify this element. Let's go back to the code, and let's find the element first by name, and let's give the name here, and we have to use send keys to type some value over there, and here let's type the password. And for the better readability, I'm moving it to the next slide. All right, now what's next? So we entered the username and also password. The next is clicking the sign in button. Let's see how we can click the button. Let's right click and inspect it. Here you can see the element sign in, which is a span, and this is actually a child of the main element button. So if you just move your mouse cursor here, you can see different elements being highlighted on the left side. You can see that. Okay, so now this is highlighting just the text sign in, and if you just move the mouse cursor to the top, on top of a button, then you can see that the entire button is highlighted. So that means this is the HTML tag corresponding to the button. Okay, so for the button, you have different attributes. Type is an attribute, class is there, name is there, ID is here. Okay, so let's use the ID this time. Okay, you can use any of these attributes. The only point is, like, you have to identify this element uniquely. There should not be any other element with the same attribute. Okay, that's the only thing that you have to check. So usually ID is unique over the HTML document. Okay, and name is also like that. Name will be unique across this DOM. So DOM is another term for this, the whole set of HTML tags. So DOM stands for document object model. So usually we call this one as DOM. okay, document object model. So name and ID are very popular, and you can uniquely identify the web elements using name and ID. If one of these is present, you can consider that. Okay, so this time I'm gonna copy the ID, send true for that, and then let's identify the web element driver dot find element by dot ID, and then let's specify ID here, and this will return the web element object dot. Now what we have to do, this is the sign button, so we have to perform a click over there. All right, now let's run this much and see the result. Okay, it is logged in. Let's make a slight change here. Okay, let me just quit the browser because we disabled driver.quit. Okay, so we are maximizing the window at the end. Let's move it to the beginning. Okay, after launching the browser and moving into the URL, to the base URL, let us maximize the window so that you can see the actions in the maximized mode of the window, and which should be clearer. So let's check it once again. Yes, now it has maximized, perform the actions. There you go. All right, now we need to verify this welcome message. So let us inspect the element first, and here you can see a span, and there is a class logged in. So using this class, let us try to identify this message, and let's validate it. Driver, let's get the web element first. Driver.find element by dot class name, and within double quotes let's specify the class, and now this will return the web element object, and using the web element object we need to find this text, right? So in order to get a text of the web element, there is a method dot get text. So let's say dot get text. So this will return the text associated with this web element. Welcome automation tester. This has to be the text. So let us assign the returned string value to a string variable string. Let's say this is the actual welcome message, right? So let's name it as actual welcome message, right? So we have to compare the actual with the expected one. So let's create a variable for the expected message, expected welcome message, which is equal to this one, welcome automation tester. Okay, this we have to get this message, okay, and then only the test will pass, otherwise it will fail. So let's compare now. Let's compare both the messages. Okay, so for comparing, let us add a assert statement. Assert dot assert equals. Okay, and here you have to specify the actual one first. Okay, so actual one, the message that we are taking from the screen, and then the expected message, and then if they are not equal, then what should be the error? Okay, that means login failed, right? Login failed, if that's the case. Okay, and then now let's run it and check the result. All right, it's logging in, and then let's go to our code and see what's happening. It's showing an error. Okay, earlier it was all green, now it's showing the red color, right? So there is an assertion failure, login failed. What happened? Okay, let's go to the screen. It's saying that expected is this one and actual. Okay, I just clicked on this clip to see the difference, and I can see the expected value and the actual value is showing us empty. Okay, but here there is some actual value. So what is going wrong here? Let's find out. So here, when you log in, okay, after you entering username and password, and when you click the sign in button, a new page is displayed, and there's a slight delay for this welcome message to appear, but Selenium doesn't wait for anything. It will go and immediately check whether there is a message here. But before the message appearing on the screen, the check is performed, and then that's why Selenium didn't get the message. So we have to synchronize it. Okay, so there is a proper synchronization mechanism for that, but for the time being, we are going to add a sleep, a slight wait. Okay, so let's do a quick dirty fix for the time being. So after clicking the button, the sign in button, I'm going to add a slight delay here. Okay, I'm going to add a statement thread.sleep. So this will make a slight delay there, and I'm going to give 3 seconds. So it's 3000 milliseconds delay. Okay, so immediately after clicking the sign in button, it will wait. There is a delay here. So 3 seconds or 3000 milliseconds, the script will wait, and then only it will move to the next line for execution. Okay. All right. So this is expecting an exception handling. This statement is expecting an exception. So that has to be a handle here. It's a checked exception. So I don't want to add a try catch block here. Instead, let's add the exception to the method signature. Let's click this option, add exception to method signature, so that it will be added to the method signature throws interrupted exception. Okay, that's enough for this for the time being. All right, and maybe let's enable this driver.quit, so that we don't need to close the browser window again and again, right? All right, let's execute it once again and check. There you go. Now the test is passed. Okay, so it has logged in and it has verified the message, and the browser is exited. All right, so now we completed the test, and let's commit the code and let's merge it. Let's go to Git menu. Let's click commit. Let's give a commit message, and let's click commit and push. You can see the changes. We only made the changes in login test. Let's push the change, and now let's go to GitHub. Let's go to the corresponding project, Selenium study, and then it's showing a change login test here. So I'm gonna click compare and pull request, and login test added. I'm good with this, and then I'm gonna create a pull request. Okay, from login to main, and I'm gonna merge this pull request now. Confirm merge. So that's merged, and I'm gonna delete the login test branch. I don't need it anymore. Now let's go back to IntelliJ, and let's check out to main branch, and let's do an update project, so that we are ready for our further work. Now we can create a feature branch, and let's continue with the next work.